As we saw the previous discussion, right? So we had analog people talking about AI and its impact, the fears, and all of that. At this panel, it's like the best for the last. It's like the cherry on the top, which is the need of the hour, the adoption, and all of that. So we have beautiful AI humans who are working in terms of AI adoption, leading some of the world's largest projects in terms of implementation and all of that. In today's panel discussion, let's talk about why enterprise is shying away from AI adoption. The answer is, I don't think so. I'm sure like the panelists would agree. So before I set the context, it's pretty straightforward. There's some of the data that talk about how 72% of CEOs are already looking at implementing AI and generative AI in their production as we speak. And also nearly 52% expect to see return in next 3 to 5 years, right? And also another study by IBM shows that 42% of large enterprises have already deployed AI, with almost early adopters leading the way as 59%, which plan to increase the investments. So this in the back end, right? So there was a very interesting talk by Mark Zuckerberg, which we were discussing in the back end as well. He says that you cannot call yourself a tech company or a AI company if your CEO or a leadership or the board members are not technically skilled in these aspects. So I just want to open the floor with that, and I would start with Anju, who can lead the conversation. What is your thought on identifying the tech companies? Like, how do you call yourself a tech company or a AI-first company? Yeah.
Sure. So let me put a perspective of AI first. So I come from Genpact, and I think most of you would know Genpact as a business process organization, which we no longer call. We say it's a digital operations. So the way we started was the digitization of the operations. Now the next level is how do we do AI in this digital operations so that it becomes touchless, becomes more cost effective, right? So one of the major themes for our organization this year is AI first, and I think almost 70 to 80% of the organizations are trying to do that. While there is an inertia, I agree there is an inertia, and the inertia comes from the status quo. People are used to working in a way. There are legacy systems, there is a skill set mismatch, there is investment missing. So the strategy is completely missing. So what has to happen when we say we want to be AI first, it has to be top-down approach. Okay, so your leaders need to have a buy-in that there is an advantage in being AI first company, because it is a competitive advantage these days. If you are not, you will be the last in the line. Let me tell you one story if you give me 2 minutes.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So we know all the bird eagle. The natural age of eagle is 30 years. Max, it lives for 40 years. And its beak keeps on growing, okay? So what eagle does is, it breaks its beak artificially by knocking against a rock. And that increases the age of the eagle by another 30 years. So if we don't change, if we don't become AI first company, we will vanish. As company, or the jobs displacement will start happening. And Mohandas Pai very well explained that.
Absolutely. And Raman, what are your thoughts on this? Is it necessary for organization to become AI first at this very moment? And can you share your 2 cents on this?
Sure. Yeah. Of course, I would say, just to add to what Anju has said, in today's world, of course, there is no option but to become AI first. And that perhaps is the only option. And I think even the companies which are already on a digital transformation path, with, of course, all the developments in AI in the last 2 years, they've accelerated that pace. And AI has become part of your day-to-day workflows, of your business processes, of off-the-shelf products, of bespoke AI. So it is across. There really is no option of not being part of it. And like you said, being tech first, in our organization, of course, InMobi in AdTech, we are based on technology and our products already have AI built in. And we are adopting it across the organization also. And going back to your comment on being tech first from the top, and that's how we are, and that's how our strategy has been. We have a massive skilling, reskilling going on in the organization. And across the board, there is a clear mandate to adopt AI.
Got it. And next question is to Supriya. So how do you upskill your leadership, or when I think Anju mentioned from the top-down approach, what are the things that a leader should keep in mind when upskilling your talent, and also how do you measure that? What are the metrics you consider to measure the outcome of that upskilling programs that happens? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that question. Actually, upskilling has become a continuous journey for us. You upskill something, even if you complete some certification and you do some training, and you get outdated within 6 months. So upskilling is, of course, a continuous journey for us. Having said that, many of the employees in the organization are still in inertia. Either because we are very overwhelmed with what we have in the internet, you want to learn about Gen AI, and there's so much to learn about Gen AI that you don't know what you really want to target through. So I think organizations are playing a very vital role here, because there is a lot of support, which I'm now part of IBM. Earlier I was in JP Morgan, and I think organizations are playing a very vital role where they really put you through the platform, and they provide you a lot of support to upskill and learn through. And having said that, there is still a gap between what the employee aspire for versus what the organization is providing. So I think that gap is where the data leader stands. As a data leader, you have a very clarity of what your organization want to do, and you also have a very clear vision of what your employee aspire for. And you have to be the enabler. You have to be really the people who will engage the employees, so that they are very engaged while doing the deliveries, but also on their own career paths. And you also asked for the metrics. I think few of the metrics which I will say is, one is employee survey, which we do. In fact, employee survey is now broken to that level that even if you are a people manager of 10 plus people, you have the metrics for you. So, it speaks a lot. And as a data leader, if you have those data with you, you can take a lot of pointers ahead in how you can improve that. And the second thing is about the retention. You can always go back and see how the retention tenure is, or you can even divide the retention among the different age, different geography, and even the different sector of employees which you have across the different business pillars. So those are some of the metrics which we use in order to find out that if we are providing some upskilling to the employees, how is it really helping and it is really benefiting the employees.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let me just add to what Supriya said. See, one of the things many companies is doing is like train pretty much every employee in the organization, right? They will go through some level of 101, 102, maybe a little more expert level based on their competency. But what actually many of them miss out is like, after that what, right? I mean, they all attend the training, and then 2 weeks down the line, they forget something, and 1 month down the line, most of it is gone, right? So there is no real return on that particular training program, right? So this is where actually a kind of a sandbox or innovation environment has to be set by the organization, wherein within our organization, we already done that, wherein like whoever has learned something, they would be able to do some real experimentation after that. And those experiments, it actually is done in multiple ways. One is like we have a innovation platform wherein actually people can submit their ideas, and those ideas goes through a review, and then some of the top ones, after the ideathon phase, they get into a hackathon phase, right? So there is a real reward mechanism as well in the process, and then that actually excites the people to do something which is like very relevant in the environment or in the scope of work which they are doing, right? Because I am in the marketing space, I write marketing copies. You can't expect to do maybe software code automation from me, right? So I will do something which is like very close to me and try to create some accelerators and publish it and then get recognized. So that is the way to kind of how do you kind of inculcate that culture of innovation and adoption of like Gen AI at a faster pace so that everyone is kind of, yes, I know how to use this technology and I know how to apply this and I can talk that particular language to my client as well, and it brings a lot of confidence in the whole equation.
Rightly put, Jay. Thanks for that. And now coming to the challenges, right? So what are some of the challenges that you guys face, when implementing those AI implementation? Are they going to production? Most of the things are in POCs, or how does it transcend to getting it right? Right? I mean, applying them, implementing them is the part of the solution, but getting it to the production, and what are some of the challenges you guys are facing in terms of deploying them and using them in the production, right? So that is also very important. I think Anju can take this lead. Yeah.
Sure. So I think even before we go to production, right, data privacy and security, right, that is one of our biggest challenges. Because any AI model, it works on huge data sets. But do we really need every data in that data set is something to ponder about. And I think that's one thing which we call it as data set minimization, right? Have only the data which is needed, right? And how do you secure that data? There are a lot of data encryption algorithms, but do we really do end-to-end encryption of the data while it is in transit or while it is in usage? So there are algorithms coming in the market for doing that. Then it is hacking, right? So since all the hackers also know that AI models are using huge data sets, they are more prone to hacking. So that is one of the big challenges where organizations are concerned about the hacking. The next challenge is your AI solution aligned with your business goal? Is it going to give you what you are expecting to give? So how do you measure the AI solution implementation effectiveness, right? So that has to start even at the inception phase, that the leaders have to say, this is my business goal, this is my AI initiative, and that's how these are aligned.
That's interesting. Thank you, Anju. And I think, Raman, can you, in terms of governance and guardrails that need to be put in place for implementing AI solutions, what are some of the things you guys keep in mind when deploying such solutions or product out there in the market? Yeah.
So I think I would first like to say that talking about the challenges, just to add to what Anju had mentioned, I think first and foremost is to have a very clear strategy as to what you're going to automate, how you're going to do about it, which is the team that is doing it, right? So have a very empowered team with resources, and that's very important because is it central, is it decentralized, is it hybrid? These are some of the prerequisites because that's the foundation that will decide the pace and the efficacy of, I would say, becoming AI first or digitalization. Then we come to governance. And once that is decided, you need to be clear what are the business processes that you are going to do, like we said earlier. Now, putting on top of this is a governance model that builds on these. Just make sure that, based on our strategy, this is the roadmap that we have, this is what we are taking up. And of course, the new advances keep coming in, so we factor that in on a quarterly basis. And basis that, what is the progress, what is the matrices, what is the impact, the KPIs, and who are the sponsors. So pretty good old project management, but incorporating new technology. I think that would be, some of the factors that we keep in control. And also, I would say, fail fast, right? If something doesn't work, just don't hang on to it, just keep moving. Yeah.
Very rightly put. Thanks for that. And Jay, we were talking about, you said about revenue, right? So how are you looking at all of these AI adoption, implementation is good, but what is the ROI from that, and how are you measuring that success of that particular project? You could throw some light on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, ROI, if you look at like that is the most difficult thing actually to monitor, track, or do whatever with it, right? Because if you look at like AI or Gen AI, what we're actually doing today is like everyone is like doing POC, okay? So I don't know if there is anyone who has got a return of investment after doing POC, except that the return of investment is basically a feel-good factor. Okay, everyone feels like, okay, something has been done, something is working. Yes. So that is like the return actually you got, but you can't expect the CFO or the CEO to be happy about it, right? They're unfortunately, they'll say, no, it didn't give me anything, right? So the biggest problem is like 80% of these POCs never make the light of the day, okay? Even the remaining 20% which actually sees the light, everyone is little bit suspicious on the ROI of that itself,
Correct,
okay?
yeah.
So pretty much some stats say that this return of investment is like from single digits to something like, let's say, 5% to 11%, 12%. These are kind of numbers being talked about, okay? So imagine, let's say you have $100,000 and maybe, I mean, there was a talk about Mr. M.T. Pai earlier saying that Bombay guys invest in gold and stocks and other stuff.
Yeah.
I would rather put in gold or stocks than put in AI, right? If it is like 5% or 12% kind of return I'm going to get out of that, right?
Got it.
So the biggest problem is like we are designing ourselves for failure by doing a lot of POC. So have a very clear path when you're actually defining itself like these are the number of POCs which actually will make it to the production. So clear path from POC to production and don't have this 80-20 kind of stuff, rather have let's say 60-40, okay?
Got it. Nice.
60% of my POCs will kind of make it to the production and have that clear roadmap to production for all the POCs. Some of them will not make it, but that's fine. That's more of a technical evaluation kind of stuff. So this is something like you really need to track from an execution point of view, right? Number two, you can always look at is like all these challenges which people spoke about, right? The data privacy stuff, the security, the skill, all those things are like something like, I mean, if you look at like an enterprise, it is like that Mahabharat Chakravyuha kind of stuff, okay? It is like well guarded, okay? You have different kind of formations. There is this CFO, there is the data compliance guy, there is the architecture. Everyone has like set of policies and guidelines. And we have our AI engineer who is like our Abhimanyu, okay? So he is like having all these Gen AI models and all those stuff, and he really wants to break it and then get in and then conquer that particular company.
Okay.
Unfortunately, like he does POCs and he is backed up by some front-end engineer, back-end engineer, and all those guys.
Correct.
And they will not be able to defeat all these well-trenched forces within the organization. So if you really want to kind of flip it, how do you make this Abhimanyu succeed? Right? That should be the aim of like the CEO who is probably Arjuna or the Krishna.
Got it. Yeah.
Right? So they have to enable Abhimanyu to basically succeed. Right? That is where the AI engineer has to succeed.
Correct.
If that is not enabled, then we have a very big failure within the organization, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
So this is where actually it is important, like the leadership of this organization, help them through maybe some kind of a PMO office or AI office or chief AI officer office or something like that, which you have to have a structure which has representation from every function of the organization.
Got it.
And they help in kind of facilitating the AI team to basically succeed. So it is not like AI team has to make this whole thing success. It is not going to happen. So it has to be a very, very cross-functional, collaborative, with common vision and goals and everything, then only you can succeed. Now comes to like, how do you measure it?
Yes, yeah.
This is like the most difficult part. Now you have like, it's not only financial stuff which is actually involved, there could be like very non-functional stuff as well, right? That is also very important. Customer satisfaction, how does it kind of translate to revenue? Nobody knows. There is no science behind that,
Yes.
right? Similarly, like you are going to bring in some efficiency in the process, you brought down, let's say, some marketing campaign from 5 days to 4 days or something, you don't know what return it actually gave.
Correct.
Right? So these are like challenges wherein maybe some kind of a balanced scorecard kind of stuff would definitely help.
Correct.
To see like across, let's say, financial perspective, customer perspective, operational perspective, learning and skills perspective.
Yeah.
These dimensions, how do you kind of see efficiency in each of these stuff
Got
and
it.
report to the senior management and see like how it actually performs. And also, we also need to make sure like we give sufficient time as well, right? It's not like, for example, the cost gets booked when the project is over.
Correct.
Right? But the ROI, it's a project by itself.
Correct.
Which nobody actually takes care of. That itself is a project, but nobody, the technical guy is not even bothered about it.
Got
and
it.
the person who actually funds is also not bothered about it. They say, I didn't get any return. You are not going to get a return because you haven't run your ROI project.
Correct, yeah.
It has to be run as a project. So it's, to me, like it is not the technology which is a problem,
Correct.
but it's more of like how these whole processes are run, the whole behavioral aspect, the design aspect of it, and that is what is like kind of causing us failure. And to get to the next stage of like, how do you kind of define it, right, in terms of what returns I will get. if you go to the finance side, right, you can see like a lot of this Monte Carlo simulations and all those stuff. Based on like different kind of metrics which you have, you can actually do different kind of simulations. For example, what kind of customer conversion you want to have, what kind of win rate you want to have, how many visitors you want to have in your platform, right? And what kind of revenue you're actually expecting. The whole thing can be modeled, and then based on that, you can move your parameters and see what kind of return you get.
Correct.
And if you're able to do that very properly, then we will actually improve much better than the single digit and early double digit kind of numbers to maybe much bigger number. And that is the only way to succeed. And don't do a lot of POCs, it's a waste of time. Have a clear path from POC to production.
Yeah, just a quick example, very insightful thing there. So let me take that customer side of thing in a typical retail, right? Nobody wants to talk to a human agent anymore. Let me talk about the efficiency, and everybody can pitch in here. So nobody wants to talk to a human AI agent or human agent, right? These days, like they just want quick resolution. Say that is as one of the projects that needs to be implemented in say some retail company where they want quick answer resolution. My order is not there. I don't want to hear your back-end process. You need to talk to my agent. You need to talk to my senior manager. Nobody wants to hear that. That is a customer pain point. So the thing is, yeah, so how is, I feel like customer service industry is completely toppled by AI adoption. I'm sure like there'll be different use cases that you guys would have come across in terms of these kind of things. So this is just one example and one observation that I have encountered. They're comfortable right now chatting with a AI agent where it gives me the solution immediately, or my refund or my return. This is already seeping in terms of the AI adoption, and we are all using it without knowing it. But nobody wants to talk to an agent or human agent. Everybody is okay right now, get my resolution sorted. That is kind of increasing the efficiency in the organization. Customer trust grows, and everybody is happy. Profit also grows, and in terms of you can upskill your customer service into a more tech role. So there is a lot of these kind of small minute changes that is happening with just customer service automation that is happening. That's just one area. So are there any such project or services that you guys have implemented that kind of already seeing success in your organization? We can start with Supriya. Yeah.
Yeah, surely. I have been spending a lot of time in banking, and I think the biggest, after the digitalization especially, the churn rate at which we work, right? And also the fraud. These are the two use cases I'll talk about. Specifically talking about the fraud, right? In banking, because you are mainly dealing with fraud day in and day out, this is one of the use case which AI will really enhance, and you can do it in a naive way, but doing it with the Gen AI or doing with the newer technologies have really helped us to be apt to the market. You can solve a problem over a course of time, but when you are really on a critical things like fraud, right? You have a timeline in which you have to react to the market. And that reaction of the market should be very, very quick. And that is what I think AI is enabling, because it is too quick. Means you can think of, we had the project span of which used to range from 6 months to 8 months. Now we have reduced it to 1 month. I think every 1 month or the second month we have deployments in the productions. Amazing. So that is what an enabler which I will say how AI is enabling in finance.
Yeah, Raman, anything to add?
So
yeah.
We have seen cases in customer service, multiple areas of customer service where we see the improvement. And we see it in sales conversions also. Ability to predict which are the leads and opportunities converting. I would say that's still in early stages.
Got it.
And the co-pilots in day-to-day work. Co-pilot is almost like a table stake, right?
Yes,
Where you're
yes.
using day-to-day office work, and that is kind of fairly well established.
Yeah. Amazing. G, anything to add? Yeah.
We are seeing like good number of use cases in the marketing space, okay? Especially when it comes to the product content generation kind of stuff. See, for example, many of the companies in the CPG kind of space, they have a lot of SKUs. And being multinational, I mean, one product will get sold into multiple countries, right? And you need to take care of the specific language as well as like the cultural nuances of those particular countries. So it is like, how do you make that particular, the product content, the SKU description, and then the product features and everything, in, let's say, Spanish. And Spanish for Spain is different from, let's say, Spanish in Chile. Okay, that is also nuances are there, cultural nuances.
Yeah.
And then the something which is there in, let's say, the Caribbean, they also speak Spanish. So there also it differs. So it is like the nuances which you are actually going to bring within, let's say, the product content generation from English to Spanish of a specific country, and so on and so forth. That's where actually we are seeing like very interesting use case. Number two is like, there are a lot of co-pilots, which Raman also spoke about. And some of the use cases which we have built, wherein people are actually using these kind of an augmented bot kind of stuff in their management reviews, okay? So management review typically like it happens over PPTs, right? I mean, there will be an analyst who actually paste a lot of charts and other stuff and put some description and all those stuff, and then it actually happens, right? So now that, if let's say during that review there is a question from the senior management, the usual answer will be, I'll get back to you, and that get back to you will be like, I don't know when, right?
Correct.
So in this case, like this particular application, actually it help you to kind of converse with the data, right?
Correct.
In front of them. And everyone has an access. So what you see is also like what I see. So there is no two different truths. There is only one single truth.
Correct,
okay?
yes.
So this way, like whoever is the senior manager can actually ask the question and get the answer in front of them, and then ask again additional questions.
Correct.
So there is no going back to analyst, and then that whole lead time to get that answer is gone now.
Correct.
This is like one level of automation I am actually seeing now.
Amazing. Anju, anything to add? Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, in our organization, finance and accounting, okay, so we have done a lot of AI use cases in that, and specifically for the insurance clients, where it requires minimal human intervention if you have a right bot on the claims processing side, and we have seen huge efficiency improvement over there. The other part which we have addressed is predictive. So we all talk about reactive, right? Once an action item is there, it does it, right? So what about the predictive, right? And that we have done internally. So we are supporting a lot of platforms for finance and accounting for our clients. So what we do is we do the data sets, we continuously do through AI bots. If something is about to fail, the action is initiated immediately without even client coming back to us. So it leads to internal improvement as well as for the client efficiency.
Amazing. So right now I heard like, consumer service, sales, accounting, marketing. We're already seeing these seismic change that is happening and increase in the efficiency and the team production. Also the co-pilot kind of helping the team also advance internally as well in terms of automating few of the workflows. What are some of the trends that you guys are bullish in the next couple of years? Because the data says that, there's change that is happening. That was what I'm seeing. So what are some of the trends that you guys are expecting based on the kind of adoption that is happening and change is happening? We'll start with Supriya. Yeah. What are some of the trends that you are bullish about, looking to see in the coming months? Yeah.
Surely. With the technology advancing, right, and we have so rapid technology advancing, especially after ChatGPT came, I think everyone had been in a rush to adapt to the new technologies.
Correct.
But I think the new trend is where the business and the technology will amalgamate. And that means the data leaders have to work and talk in the business terms. Which means when you're talking to the business, you cannot show them the graph or the data, and you cannot think of that it will sink in. Rather, you have to be in the shoes of the business, and you have to really figure out. That means you develop some low-code, no-code tools where the business can pitch in, and if business give you some statements, you have the tools ready so that you can quickly dig up. I can give you examples, like when we talk to the stakeholders, right? Stakeholder will tell you to go back and fetch you some data. Now, I as a data leader, if I go to my data science team and say, this is the data we want, it will take me 3-4 days to fetch that data and get it back to the business, which is a time lapse, and a time lapse in a situation like where we are cannot be affordable. So we need some tools, some kind of very quick moving insights by which business and data can amalgamate together and work very close-handedly.
Yeah, Raman?
Yeah, so I would say building on that, as the adoption increases and nothing succeeds like success, so organizations will imbibe more, it's getting more mainstream, the business teams get more comfortable, and they would need more enablement tools, like it could be low code or building citizen apps, so on and so forth. And I think as far as trend goes, I would say organizations will also get more mature and be more balanced, right? Not just go for the shiny stuff, but balance it between core systems upgrade, data quality improvement, skilling across the board, and of course, integrating all this new technology. So I would say overall the pace will increase and the inflection point has already arrived. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, Anju, you? Yeah.
So I see the trend of moving from doing just the POCs to responsible AI.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So when you say responsible AI, be transparent, be fair, be business oriented, right? Unless you do these three things, adoption will not happen. I have seen that. Even
Makes
if I
sense.
give a target within my team, say you have to do 100% adoption of AI, unless you have that responsible framework, unless you are having regulatory compliance, your efforts will not really give you the outcome you are expecting to.
Amazing. G? Yeah.
Yep. So I would actually put that maybe 3-4 areas. So one, from a data foundation point of view, okay? I mean, if you see like the earlier era, people are talking about digitizing content, right? That was like one trend. Today the trend is like vectorizing the content. Okay, any content within the organization has to be vectorized before it can be used by any large language model. It's as simple as that.
Correct.
So that is kind of going to be a major trend from a data foundation perspective. Okay, that is number one. Number two, if you look at like the evolution of all these LLMs, if you see like, I mean, in 2022, we came with ChatGPT, and then that is just conversational capability, and now we saw the reasoning capability. So along with like, we are going to see a lot of agents. So this year is going to be, and probably next year as well, age of agents, right?
Correct.
I mean, agents which actually can do, let's say like a marketing person or a service person. So they actually can imitate and actually do the things, okay? That is going to be another interesting thing. The third thing is like, while people actually doing a lot of work within their functions, where AI actually fails is like at the intersection of these functions, where actually it moves from where they want to collaborate. That's where actually it fails at the intersection. So there will be like more, with the arrival of agents, we would be able to make how two different departments can actually work together. Because as a customer, when you look at a company, you look at that company as like one single entity. But when the company actually looks at you, it actually looks at you from a, hey, this guy is sale, this guy is marketing, this is operation, this is supply chain. So you are actually disfigured by the organization. As a customer, you see it as one entity, but they see you as, I don't know, 10 or 15 entities. And that's where actually it completely goes for a toss. So a lot of this, what we call as product 360, customer 360, service 360, all those 360s will be like another interesting trend I foresee at this point in time.
Correct. Amazing. So I think we spoke about different trends. I think the agentic systems deployed responsibly, and also make sure that team also grows with that. I mean, it's all coming together, the trend. We spoke about enough AI right now. So as humans, right, what are the one thing that, gets you going in this particular domain? I mean, it's the most amazing thing that is happening. If you talk to you guys, you only talk about AI right now. I just want to take a step back. As humans, what are some of your purposes that you have in terms of deploying these solutions, right? So I'll start with Supriya again. As a human, what do you enjoy the most when you're doing AI? Like, deploying them, implementing them, you have team to lead. As a leader, what advice all of you will give in terms of, being a human? Yeah, you can start with Supriya. Yeah.
Surely. See, as a data leader, one thing which remains over this technology is the creativity. and how creative you can go while you are delivering, it talks your signature actually. So you can always leave your signature, you can always deliver what has been asked by the customer, but you can always leave your signature by going one step ahead, and that require creativity, that require a little bit of more connectivity, that require a little bit of more understanding of your stakeholders, and that is one thing which is very precious for me.
Raman, what would be your advice to your team or people who are working in this domain? How do you make things happen and break it and do it? Yeah.
Right. So I would keep the human at the center. I would pay special attention to change management, which is obviously very sensitive. So the ultimate question anyone asks is, in any changes, what's in it for me, right? So that's a question to be addressed. And of course, there will be fears of, job loss and replacement and all. And by now, we know that AI is here to enable you better, right? Improve your productivity as the complexity around us increases, right? In regular business transactions. I think that is one thing I would emphasize. And, like Supriya mentioned, and, we know that creativity is something, or more complex task is something where human energy should be more directed towards. Yeah.
Amazing. And G?
See, I would actually take some inspiration from Apple, okay? So if you look at like Apple phone, they say like designed by Apple in California and manufactured anywhere else in the world, okay?
Correct.
So if I take inspiration from that, my theme would be like designed in a creative way by human, okay? And augmented or generated by AI, but however reviewed and approved by human again. So that's what actually builds the trust, and people will actually start using your application and so on and so forth.
Amazing. Anju?
So for me, the message to my team is enhance customer experience, because the way we work in Genpact, customer experience is very, very important. So personalized, enhanced, and for the team, they can do more. They can automate, or through AI, based on the data sets, the standard jobs, they can focus more on the more innovative things. So they can learn more technologies while AI does a lot of their day-to-day work for them.
Amazing. So that's your AI humans, guys, who just walked the talk.